Hi, my name is Rachel Dean. I'm a Monmouth University senior and a true lover of travel. During last week's episode, we discussed facts about Florence and great locations to visit there. Now we're going to get back to the topic of studying abroad and discuss different ways and tips for traveling on a budget while you're there. For the second part of our podcast, we'll hear from Nora Hawley, a student who hasn't been able to go abroad because of a rigorous academic schedule at Northeastern University, but she regardless manages to travel in her spare time on a very student-friendly budget. I decided to go abroad was that I was going to run out of money traveling to all the places on my list. I had combined my life savings and what I'd made from working into a bank account to use as spending money while I was in Florence, but even that didn't seem like enough. I began doing research on the best ways to save money while traveling, and I came across a few great tips that I'd like to share with you guys. So there's two ways to go when traveling, and that's either on your own or through an agency that plans the trips for abroad students. The latter is usually more expensive, but it often guarantees a safer and more predictable trip. Bus to Alps calls itself the leading tour operator for student travel in Europe, and according to the company's website, bus2alps.com, they offer trips with detailed itineraries to Prague, Barcelona, Budapest, Croatia, and many other places. But despite the relative simplicity of booking a tour through a company like this, some of the thrill and spontaneity is lost, along with the money. Choosing to travel on your own, that is, booking the flight, making your own accommodations, and planning towards yourself, results in a cheaper and more exciting experience. Heather Yamada Hosley writes in her article, When It's Worthwhile to Join a Tour Group or Go It Alone, to think about what kind of experience you want from your trip before you jump into searching for a guided tour. Similarly, she notes that a guided tour isn't the best deal for your money when a guidebook or your own research will work just fine. It all comes down to figuring out what you want out of a trip and then making that decision for yourself. Hi everybody, so we're back now with some advice from Nora Hawley, our budget traveler who has gone on all kinds of trips and done it on a budget. Let's hear some applause for that. And now we're going to hear a bit of what she has to say.
So obviously traveling is super expensive and it takes a lot of effort to plan, but in my opinion, I think it's actually one of the only things that I feel completely comfortable about spending a lot of money on. So since I didn't have a lot of breaks throughout these past couple years, I would always make sure that I planned any traveling that I wanted to do super far in advance. So if I knew that I had a break, I would look up the best times to buy tickets and the cheapest places to travel at that time. So whenever I am traveling, I like to buy my plane tickets as far in advance as possible, just because that's often when they are the cheapest. And I also try to stay in the cheapest Airbnbs or hostels, since I know that I won't actually be there much on my trip. And then also if I know that there's certain things that I want to do, like different excursions or activities, I make sure that I get those tickets in advance instead of waiting until I'm actually there. And that way I know that I'll definitely be able to see everything I want to see and do everything I want to do.
So thanks to Nora for that great advice. Another great way to save is to book flights through Ryanair, a very cheap airline that flies throughout Europe. Ryanair.com notes that it's the lowest fares and the best deals whether you're flying for business or pleasure. And I can attest to that. Great flights, low cost, just plan ahead. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we discussed some budget travel tips, including whether or not to book a flight through an agency or go it alone. Thanks to Nora for her great advice. I hope all of you guys have enjoyed our segments on studying abroad and travel, and we hope you take out your headphones or turn off your radio knowing a bit more about going abroad. Thanks again for joining us.